Welcome to another video of me and you outside. So glad you're here and joining us. Hey, we are going to have something delicious to eat. Wild squirrel and dumplings. And we are going to cut up a squirrel here. We're going to put it in some dumplings and we are going to eat it. And it is going to be so good. I'm going to eat the head, the brains, the tongue. It's just going to be awesome for you to watch. And it's real, not just trying to make a funny video right here. I absolutely love squirrel and I love dumplings. So stay with us. Now I'm going to cut this squirrel up right here. I got a young squirrel. So most of the time when I'm boiling or making dumplings out of squirrel, the best ones to use are the old squirrels because they're tough anyways. You can't fry them. Now this young squirrel right here, I could actually fry this squirrel and it would be really tender. But we're going to make dumplings out of it. I won't be boiling as long as I would an old tough squirrel, but it's still going to be good. I guarantee it. So what I'm going to do, I want to salvage this head. And what I did is I shot this squirrel behind the shoulder like you might shoot a deer or something. I shot him right here. And it exited right here, but I shot him with a 17. It made a good size hole here. But on the ribs of a squirrel, there's not much meat at all. But I will be throwing the ribs in the pot because we want as much of the squirrel in there as we can get. I'm going to go ahead and remove these hind legs. These hind legs are remind you a little bit of a frog leg. And they're a good sized leg. Just twist that around here till I find where that joint is right there. It goes way up their back. See, that's a pretty good piece of meat right there. Do the same thing on this one right here. Just cut him all the way up here and get that leg. Oh yeah. Really some good eating right here. It's hot weather here in Missouri, so it's hard to find squirrels right now. And I'm going to go ahead and take the backbone. I'm just going to basically cut it in half. There's a decent piece of meat. You get some pretty good back meat off of a squirrel. Those back straps right there have some good meat. These will boil up pretty good. These side flanks right here will work pretty good. Now I'll cut the front legs off. My wife is videoing this for me because she's going to be showing you how we do the dumplings here. And she promised me she would try the squirrel, so that's going to be kind of interesting. She's eaten squirrel, but it's been a long time for her. Not for me. I've eaten it here recently. In fact, another video. The reason I didn't skin this on videos because I already have a video out there showing me skin a squirrel. Now I'm going to throw that in the pot too. Won't get much meat off of it, but it'll help make the broth and everything for the squirrel. All right, got a good pile of squirrel right here. Now we're going to move into the dumpling mode right now.
Okay, it's time for us to mix up the dumplings. I'm just using a simple old-fashioned dumpling recipe. There's a lot of recipes out there. You probably have your own favorite. This is just how I'm going to do it today with the squirrel dumplings. So I've got about 1.5 cups of flour. I'm going to put in there. And then we're going to put about 6 tablespoons of butter, cold butter. And I'm going to use my pastry knife here to cut that into the, just like you do with a lot of things like biscuits or whatever. Just going to cut it in till it's small and crumbly. You don't grab that flour, but you have butter in flour. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, then next I'm going to put in just a teaspoon of baking powder and a teaspoon of salt to flavor that. And then we're going to put in about 3/4 cup of buttermilk to mix that up. So here's my teaspoon. Baking powder and salt. Real basic recipe. Okay. Now, I'm going to use a large fork to mix that up. Just help mix it up with the salt and the baking powder. Okay. Make a well. And this is supposed to be buttermilk. I didn't have buttermilk, so I just used real milk and put vinegar in it. A lot of you know that trick. It's not quite the same, but it works pretty good. these will be a little bit more thicker of a dumpling. They won't be the big fluffy kind. They're going to be more of the flat squares of dumplings, the old-fashioned dumplings. Okay, I'm going to put this out on my pastry mat here and get that rolled out, and then they'll be ready to put into the broth that we have over here. I just did chicken broth. It's we don't have squirrel broth, so I'm using chicken broth. And I put a little bit of poultry season or season in there just to kind of flavor it. Kind of like you would with chicken noodles or something like that. So our base is chicken broth. Okay, so I have the dough and I put it out on my pastry mat, and you're just going to roll it out fairly thin, probably about just about done here. It's gonna, I don't know what that is, but maybe 1/4 of an inch thick. And they will fluff up in the pot. So I'm just gonna roll that out, and then we're gonna cut them. Try to make them a little even. Didn't do a real good job squaring this off, but I'm gonna do that, and you can always reshape it and cut them again. So I'm gonna shape it so that it's more of a square. And I'll reuse these strips as well. Okay, so we're going to do about 2 inches wide, and by 2 by 3 is kind of a good estimate. It doesn't have to be exact, obviously. So, and don't worry about getting too much flour. The flour helps keep them from sticking together and will help thicken your broth for the dumplings. Okay, and we'll just finish cutting them about like that, and we'll get ready to dump them in the boiling broth here in just a couple minutes. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put the squirrel into our boiling broth right now. It's a young squirrel, but we figured it probably needed to cook about the same amount of time as our dumplings, about 15 minutes, and it should be done. So I'm just going to put these pieces in there, and then I will be putting the dumplings on top. They'll kind of float to the top anyway. And you've got your little squirrel head here. We're going to go ahead and put that in.
Come on.
I will not be eating that. And we got the little legs going on. Okay, so we've got that. We're going to let this come back to a boil. It's almost there. Okay, the broth is good and boiling now, so I'm going to take and put the dumplings in, and we're going to do them one at a time, kind of spread them out all around the pot. That helps them from sticking together. So we can put one here and just all around the pot. Just want to kind of not put them on top of each other. Right up front. Okay, and they're going to take about 15 minutes to cook and be done. And the squirrel should be done. And then after that is close to being done, I have some sauteed carrots that I'm going to dump in there. It depends on whether you use raw carrots or canned carrots. It doesn't matter. I had some canned carrots on hand, so I sauteed that in some butter and with some salt and pepper. And since they're already cooked, I'm going to put them at the end so that they can cook good. So these are floating to the top. They're already cooking really nice here. Like I said, this extra flour will help thicken your broth. And we may need to make a little bit of a slurry to thicken that up, but if we need to, we'll do that at the end. Okay. Our dumplings, our squirrel dumplings are done. So what I'm going to do is, you can see it's really hot. I'm going to go ahead and dump these carrots in there. I like carrots with my dumplings, my noodles, so we're putting carrots in.
Canned.
And yeah, they are canned carrots, not fresh carrots. I would have cooked them with the rest of the stuff if they were fresh. but these are pretty done, so we don't want to overcook them either. So you can see the squirrel, pieces of squirrel. We've got some good dumplings going on there, and they've also helped thicken up the sauce, so you've got some thick dumpling squirrel dumplings right here.
Beautiful.
So we're gonna go ahead and go outside like we usually do for a taste test, and we'll see you out there.
Thanks for staying with us. You're still there. I can't believe it, but I'm glad. Hey, we're out here. We're going to try these squirrel and dumplings. Oh my goodness! I know they're so good because we can smell them. And we won't lie to you. We took a little snippet of a dumpling a while ago. We're not going to try to fool you about that. We did just a little bit just to make sure, okay? And you would do the same thing. But now we're out here to really, really eat, okay? So we're going to give this a shot. My wife here now. Tell you a funny story about this woman. When we were dating years ago, early 80s, she came to my house for supper one night, and my mom had cooked squirrel and dumplings, and Sandy here, she thought, no, okay, I'll try that. So she had this there's a big old bowl or pot of squirrel and dumplings on the table, and my wife, she reached in to get her some dumplings and whatever, and pulled up a squirrel head. And it didn't take her long to drop that right back down into the squirrel and dumplings. She didn't want no part of that. She didn't want no part of the squirrel head, but I'm about to eat here in just a minute. But she's going to try a squirrel. I gave her she got a squirrel leg over here. She's going to try it, and she's going to eat it and just reminisce and remember what it tastes like. Well, that's a hind leg right there, isn't it? Yeah. It may be a little hot. But you can try it and see if it's not too hot. You have to grab that with your fingers, I bet. It'll be messy, but you know what? We got lots of napkins. We got paper towels running out our ears. We'll be all right. Because we know this is going to be messy out here.
Probably easier to debone it.
It might be.
It's pretty hot.
See if you can take a bite out of it if it's not too tough on you. She's really taking a bite of squirrel.
It's a little tough.
Is it a little chewy? We might should let it boil a little bit longer. There goes that bone. Not bad. What does it taste like?
Better than I remember from before, but it is a little chewy. I think we didn't cook it long enough.
Okay, we can handle that.
But taste-wise, it's not bad.
Good. All right, we're going to dig in these dumplings here in a minute. When the squirrel head cools off really good, I'll come back and show you how we eat those. It was in a previous video too, but this might be a little different video here. All right, we'll be right back. All right, I'm going to eat this squirrel head. Now, we grew up eating these as a kid. Again, another video, you heard me talk about it. As kids, we'd fight over them. I had another video about squirrels out there on a roadkill squirrel, but this wasn't a roadkill squirrel. I shot this squirrel myself, but a squirrel has muscles in their jaws on the outside. You got to eat that off of there. You don't have to, but it's pretty good meat right there. And it is pretty good on both sides. Then all right, we got the meat off, and I'm going to separate. See his little teeth? I'm going to separate his upper and lower jaw, just like that. Which brings out his tongue right here. There we go. That squirrel tongue right there, folks, I ain't kidding you, it's really good. And I know you think I'm crazy, but that's beside the point, but it is really good. Good. You know, it kind of has a texture of maybe a gizzard, like a chicken gizzard or something like that. A little bit of a texture like that. Now I'm gonna eat the brain. I've got to expose it first, and what I'm gonna do is crack its head open right here. I always just use a butter knife right here. I always have. It's what we've always cracked them with. We'd always whack them right here. You can see where his brain is right there. You can see that. That's where his brain is, okay? And I'm going to get to that. I've got that cracked open now. You bend that open right here. Look at that. See that brain right there? That's what that is. A squirrel's brain for the size of his head is phenomenally big. It's just ridiculous how big a squirrel's brain is. Now I'm going to get this brain out of here. The whole thing. It'll come out in probably a couple of pieces, but that's okay. Oh, I can already taste it. There it is. It crumbled up a little bit, but that's all right. If you like brains, you'll love squirrel brains. That is really good. Really good. I enjoyed that. It's just a little morsel. You don't get much out of it, but it's just always fun to eat a squirrel brain because, to me, they're good. Well, that's the end of this video. I thank you for watching. It's me and you outside. One word, no spaces. Thank you for being here today. Subscribe to my channel. If you haven't already subscribed, it's not going to hurt you to hit that subscribe button, maybe like button. Comment on it. Hey, I love to read comments. I will respond to every one of them I can. And if you'll comment, hit the like button, subscribe, I'd appreciate it so much. My family would appreciate it. And just be a wonderful thing to have you part of our family. And that's kind of how I feel when you're watching us. You're part of our family. So it's really awesome. Thank you for being here. Another video is coming right around the corner.